All right, a very good morning to you and from all of us here on the AM show on eCorner. Merry Christmas and thank you for choosing to spend part of this special morning with us. Today's edition of eCorner is not business as usual. This morning, we bring you a special year-end review. It's a moment to pause, reflect, and take stock of Ghana's creative journey in 2025. Now, over the past year, our creative industry has experienced defining moments, global breakthroughs, difficult conversations, policy shift, and bold experiment. But beyond the applause and the controversies, an important question remains. How did we really fare? What worked? What fell short? And how do we intentionally build a stronger, more sustainable creative ecosystem as we head into 2026? Well, this morning, together with an exceptional panel of industry voices, we journey through music, film, theater, and governance, not as separate conversations, but as interconnected part of Ghana's creative canvas. So welcome to eCorner Special. This is 2025 Creative Canvas, a year in review. Let's begin. Right, so you're welcome. And to ground our special conversation this morning, I want to spotlight 4 creative archetypes that defined Ghana's music narrative in 2025. And we begin with Black Sherif, or Blacko. And we want to take a look at how he has fared in 2025 this year. Let's have our first slide, Director. So we want to take a look at his breakthrough with his album, all right? And so he started the year strong, released an album in April 2025, called it Iron Boy. It was a homage he paid to legendary high-life musician Abranteɛ Amachidede. And then within 24 hours of that album release, it became the most streamed Ghanaian album in a single day, amassing over 2 million streams. That's not all. Let's have a next slide. And then for chart dominance, he was the first Ghanaian artist to occupy the top 12 spot on Apple Music Ghana's top 100 simultaneously. And then in terms of global reach, he debuted at number 10 on Billboard World Albums. Take note of that. And number 6 on UK Spotify Top Debut. Let's have our next slide. Now, in terms of how he performed across various or diverse streaming platforms, well, according to Spotify, he's Ghana's #1 streamed artist, and he's held that position for 3 consecutive times, okay, 3 times in a row, and has a career total surpassing 739 million streams. For those of you who do not understand what career total is, it's basically the cumulative amount of times an artist's entire catalog is played on various streaming platforms. And then on Apple Music, he held the #1 album, that's Iron Boy, and #1 song for Sacrifice for 2025 in Ghana. Let's have our next slide. And on Audio Mac, he became the only Ghanaian artist with 2 albums over 100 million streams. Those 2 albums are The Villain I Never Was, that's his first album, and his sophomore album, which is his second album, Iron Boy. And then on YouTube, he dominated the trending category with 2025 with the Sacrifice song, music video, and performance he had on a Colors show. Now that was also heavily represented on YouTube. Let's have our next slide. Now, in terms of major appearances and global presence and tours, he did go on tour, a North American tour in April, sold out shows in DC, New York, Chicago, LA, you name it. Then he went on an European tour in May, headlined the O2 Shepherd Bush Empire in London and the O2 Institute in Birmingham. And then he got a BET nomination for the Best International Act at the 2025 BET Awards. Next slide. And then in Ghana, he performed at the Share a Coke Experience, and that was one of his monumental performances, and I tell you why. There was a key moment in that performance where he expanded the brand ethos, or the emotional or human side of his brand, by utilizing sign language interpreters for the song Sacrifice. So basically, during his performance of that show, a sign language person or interpreter interpreted that song, and it was such a bold, forward-looking move that got him a lot of accolades from the UN and some disability advocacy groups. Let's have our next slide. And then in terms of major appearances, of course, in Ghana, performed at Tidal Rave, delivered the year's most talked about festival set not too long ago. And then he crowned the year up beautifully by moving his flagship annual Zama Disco, I almost said Mozama Disco, Zama Disco concert to the University of Ghana Sports Stadium. First sports stadium show, sold out completely. There was an overflow outside. I mean, I wasn't there. I'm not a fan of crowds, but yeah, my eyes and ears were there, and they tell me about how amazing that show was. A little hitches here and there, but as of now, they have released a statement to acknowledge all of those mistakes and hope to, get better next year. Let's now take a look at the year of our artist, the TGMA artist of the year, King Promise. He's had a colorful, fashion-forward year, if you ask me. But let's take a look critically at how he's fared. First slide, director. So he was crowned the Artist of the Year at the Telecel Ghana Music Awards, like I mentioned, and then also took home Best Afro-Pop Song for Terminator, Best Afrobeats Afro-Pop Artist and Album of the Year for True to Self, that's an album. And internationally, he was nominated for Best African Act at the 2025 Mobile Awards in the UK. But that's not all. Next slide. And then he went on a tour, a North American tour that was in March, from March to April, kicked off that tour in some cities in the US and Canada, did the 930 Club in Washington, Sonny Hall in New York, the Terragram Ballroom in Los Angeles. And then he kicked off his European leg and, went to countries in Thailand in September and did some club shows across Europe as well. Next slide. Then he described his first single, that's See What We've Done with Mr. Easy, that was released in September, as his first single of the year. I mean, he had collaborated with some individuals, and I think he released one single as well in January, but he says this is his official first song of the year, and that was released in September with Mr. Easy. Then he collaborated with Nigerian superstar Davido on a joint he called Bad Habits. And, they performed, or they shot that video for the song in some cities in Paris and London. Next slide. In terms of fashion, like I said, he's had a very fashion-forward year. He attended the Paris Fashion Week in September 2025 as a front row guest, cementing his status as a fashion icon. And that's a trend I have witnessed with a lot of musicians now. It seems like a lot of football clubs are now collaborating with our artists. For what reason? We'll explore that when we get to the conversation aspect of our show. But yeah, he did partner with Chelsea on a number of collaborative content creation on Spotify. Let's take a look at his multi-platform streaming metrics. So on Spotify, he amassed 544 million streams in 2025, became the first Ghanaian male to surpass 400 million career streams earlier in the year. And on YouTube, his See What We've Done, joint with Mr. Easy, also hit 2.3 million views within its first month. On Apple Music, True to Self, an album, remained one of the top 5 most streamed Ghanaian albums of the year. And for his daily reach, if you should take a look at how he performed across boards in terms of streaming platforms, he averaged 450,000 streams per day across global platforms. So that has been King Promise's 2025 year. But that's not all. Let's now move on to our third artist or archetype. And she's a wonder girl. She, burst into the scene, very soft, not doing too much. And she did a lot. In fact, she is Spotify's most exported artist for the year 2025. It's Moliy. Let's take a look critically at what she's done in the year 2025. So she released a remix version, but It's instructive to know that Shake It to the Max, she released snippets of it in 2024, you know, to test the waters. And then when it started doing well, she decided to release the main thing and a remix version, I beg your pardon, in 2025. That remix version featured some of Jamaica's heavyweights, Skillbang and Shensia. Now, the viral impact of the song, let's take a look at that. It triggered a global TikTok dance challenge with over 2.5 million user-generated videos. And that, next slide, that feat secured her a spot on TikTok's top 10 global songs for the summer, as well as Spotify's top 5 songs of the summer. So what that means is that for users on Spotify and TikTok, this was their official summer song for 2025. And then she followed up with some releases, collaborated with South African superstar Tyler on Body Go, and also her sister and Joey B on Kweku. And then in terms of her appearances globally, she performed at the Accor Arena Bercy in Paris alongside popular Caribbean musicians Kalash and Maureen. And then in April 12, at the Barclays Center, she performed as a headline guest at Vibes Cartel's Reggae Fest concert. And she joined Cartel, Shensia, and Skillbang to perform at the Shake It to the Max, the remix version of the song, basically. And you should see that video. It's really, really colorful and wild. And then in May, she delivered an electrifying set at the Telecel Ghana Music Award. Did you watch that that performance? I mean, I don't know about you, but I loved it. And in June, she made history as the first Ghanaian female artist to perform on the BET Awards stage in Los Angeles during the main event day. I may show you excerpts of that video just in case you lost out on it. And then in July, she performed at the Wireless Festival in a legendary moment. She joined Vibes Cartel. Well, Vibes actually invited her, and on stage, presented her. She said he had some nice things to say about her, and that made her do very well in terms of numbers in the UK and in the Caribbean as well. Well, that's more the significance of that performance or collaborative performance. She became the first Ghanaian female artist to publicly be championed by the world boss Vibes Cartel, leading to a significant surge in her Caribbean and UK fan bases, like I mentioned. In July, she headlined the Coca-Cola Share a Coke experience in Ghana. In November, performed a high-energy set at Tidal Wave. I'm sorry I'm rushing through, but time is not our best friend, so I have to do this quickly because we have one more person who is our wild card, I would say. Let's have the next slide. And then on Spotify Wrapped, she was crowned the #1 most exported Ghanaian artist globally. I don't have an understanding with this particular data, but I'll discuss that with my panelists when we get into the conversation bit of the show. And then on Billboard, she won the Hitmaker of the Year award at Billboard Africa and peaked at number 55 on the Billboard Hot 100 in June. Let's have the next slide. Then on YouTube, the Shake It to the Max remix videos surpassed 28 million views within months. And in the UK, she earned a silver certification from the BPI. The BPI is the UK's RIAA, which is like the official body that is mandated to certify the musical feats of artists, right? And so she got a silver certification from the BPI. That was her second silver certification in the UK, particularly. Next slide. And then, you know, major accolades and milestones, she got nominated for MTV VMA's Best Afrobeat and Song of the Summer for Shake It to the Max, reached #1 on Romanian radios in October, peaked at #12 on the UK's official singles chart. And for her key collaborations, she worked with Ciara on a joint called Nice and Sweet. It's really nice and sweet. You should check it out. And Chloe Bailey on a song of a Caribbean artist whose song also blew up like herself, called The Greatest Bendover Remix. It's a beautiful song. You check it out. And Tyler on Body Go, which is gradually, you know, picking up beautifully. So that has been Molly's year. Last but certainly not least, let's take a look at our wild card. I call him the industry's disruptor, Shatta Wale. Let's take a look at Shatta Wale's year. He has had an interesting topsy-turvy year, if you ask me. Let's take a look. So in January, he started the year really strong. He was the only African artist invited to perform at Vibe Cartel's Freedom Street Comeback concert, which was held in Kingston in Jamaica. And this is instructive to note because he was not the only Ghanaian, only African artist, all right, to perform at that concert. He performed on God and Already, that's his collaborative joint with Beyonce, to a crowd of over 35,000 people. And then officially, Vibes introduced him on stage as the, quote, king of African dancehall, solidifying his international genre status and also sort of beefing up that collaboration between the Shatta movement and the World Boss movement, if that is what it is. And then in July, performed honored President John Dramani Mahama at the President's Cup here in Ghana, which is like a football tournament, right? And he performed there. He says he footed entirely the bill of that performance. That's what he told us, so we'll believe it. And then in October 18, he pulled the big one. Unprecedented, has never happened before. The historic Shatta Fest, which was a concert he put together to celebrate his 40th birthday. And he did that at the Independence Square. Listen, let's take a look at the milestone of that concert. So his team says they did over 600,000 people, okay? But our independent, fearless, and credible research team here at Joy News did the math using cutthroat technology and arrived at over 400 to 500,000 people. You can trust the Joy News research team. If they tell you it's 400,000, it is 400,000. Let's look at the impact of that concert. It was the largest single artist outdoor concert in Ghanaian history, okay? And for the Unity Moment, for the first time, we saw him perform on the same stage with Sarkodie and Samini, who until that time we had all believed were arch rivals. Okay, apparently they were not. And then in November 15, he appeared as the wild card artist, shutting down the Beach Festival at Tidal Rave, and also did a surprise, appearance at Shay's concert. That's Wendy Shay's concert. But next slide, director. Shatta Wale has had, I told you when I began his presentation that he is the industry's disruptor, and he's our wild card because he's had a very tough year in terms of controversies. And I want to share some of those. I mean, there are a lot, but I'm going to share just two with you. So the significant one was that Iyoko Lamborghini saga. And in case you haven't heard about it, well, Ghana's Economic and Organized Crime Office, Iyoko, seized his 2019 yellow Lamborghini Urus from his Trasacco residence. And you may ask, why was that? Well, U.S. authorities, specifically FBI, had linked the vehicle to a $4.7 million fraud case involving a third party. And so he was detained overnight, was released the next day, granted bail to the tune of 5 million Ghana cedis. Next slide. Until today, he has maintained and continues to maintain that he bought the car in good faith for 150,000 United States dollars and was unaware of its history, later criticizing Iyoko of intimidation. And then, so that's one leg of the controversy. Now, the second leg was when he led a fan-led digital protest against medical, which is like his bestie, industry bestie, for hiring a lady PRO who had previously insulted the Shatta movement. And with his influence, he was able to get the lady to resign in 48 hours. She maintains that she was paid. As to whether or not she was, we don't know. But let's look at his key 2025 releases. Released Flaunt, Global Champion, Letter to Mali, and gave us an EP, a 5-track EP called Voice of the Crown. And it's doing so well. The EP is doing so well, particularly because of one song. I'm going to share details shortly with you. So it's a 5-track project, like I said, has songs like God Is Here, Streets Crown, Stay Focused, Stacks Upon Stacks, and King in the Life. But Streets Crown is the world's favorite song, and I'll show you why. Next slide. So he released the song and then did a remix version with Vybz Kartel. And it blew up. It's such a beautiful song. In fact, a lot of people do not believe Shatta Wale sang that song. They think he used AI, because that's so not his style. But yeah, he did a remix version with Vybz Kartel, and when that song was released on Billboard charts, the song spent 8 weeks on the Billboard US Afrobeat Songs chart and reached #1 on the UK's Afrobeat chart shortly after the remix dropped. Next slide. And then on YouTube, the official visualizer for the remix surpassed 10 million views within the first month of release. And for Shazam, that song was the most Shazammed song, Ghanaian song, I beg your pardon, in London and New York during October 2025, okay? So please take note of the fact that it was the most Shazammed Ghanaian song, that was streaming, or should I say was doing high numbers in the UK. On Audiomack, he is the #1 most streamed Ghanaian artist with a total career of 1.2 billion plus streams. On Spotify, maintained over 290,000 monthly listeners with Minamino Sin, that's a single by him, and Flaunt, another single by him, as top tracks. And on Apple Music, his Safa album, which is the Shatta and Fans album, remained in the top 100 for the entire year. And when you take a look at all these platforms combined, he surpassed 700 million combined streams for 2025 across all platforms. So listen, these are not rankings, these are lessons. And the question now is, what does the industry do with these lessons? Well, we'll find out pretty shortly in a conversation bit of our show. You're welcome back to the show. It's our special E-Corner show. It's a year in review. We want to take a look at how the industry has performed in the year 2025. And we've gotten to the second leg of our conversation, or our show, where we get into conversations based on how the year has fared. And so in no particular order, I want to introduce to you my panelists. So I have Lateef Abubakar. He's a playwright. He's one of Ghana's most consistent theater producers and cultural storytellers. Like I said, he's a playwright and CEO of Globe Productions. Thank you so much, Lateef, for making it here. And then I have respected music executive, artist manager, and industry insider. He is the CEO of Bullgod Entertainment. He's bold, he's assertive, and all the in-betweens. And he's my friend as well. We have here Bullgod. I love the colors you're doing this morning. I love it. It's really, really nice. Okay, awesome. Now, we also have Kobe Spiky Nkrumah. He's my favorite human in the world. He is a technology and media analyst with over 15 years experience working across Ghana's tech, media, and digital transformation space. And I'm so grateful to have you here, Spiky.
Thank you for having me.
So this morning, we want to have a conversation. Time is really running against us, but we want to make use of the little time we have. First of all, let me begin by asking all of you in a minute, tell me how the year has fared generally. Let me start with you, Bullgod.
I think it's been a good one for the Ghanaian creative. And one of the things that I've noticed, and with the December shows that's happening, is that the consumer is no longer interested in foreign music. So if there is any media house that is still playing foreign music, then they are in the past.
Right.
They should just reshuffle and
update themselves.
Exactly, because I've seen the GT Bank show. Burna Boy is one of Africa's giants, right? They look am. So that alone should tell you the presence. And I've been to a couple of shows this December. The fantastic thing is that everybody's got their crowd, from Sami to Stoneboy to Sako, everybody. People are trooping out. I think it's a good day for Ghana music. I think this is for me, is a historical moment. We didn't have this before, and I'm glad we're here. For me, I'm amazed I'm alive to see it, and I know it's going to get better.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So it's been a fantastic year.
Yes. Spiky?
Yep. I agree with Bullgod. It has been a great year for the Ghanaian creative. From my perspective, tech perspective, the entry barrier has never been lower. So the opportunities are endless, and the fact that now you have the ability to reach a global audience easier than ever is something that every creative should be happy about and really, really take advantage of, because this is a time to cash out, really.
Right, and last but certainly not least, you.
Yeah, I think that in general, it has been very positive. Positive from the music perspective, positive from the theater arts perspective, we'll say from even the policy and government perspective. Look at what was stated in the budget. For the first time, we have a 20 million cedis seed fund for the creative arts. So I think that it's good. It's been very good.
But let me stay with you, Lateef. Beyond the hits and global moments we have shared in 2025, how strong would you say our creative ecosystem here in Ghana is?
Because we actually doing, the last time I checked, I think less than 10% of our potential, because we are supposed to be doing close to 4-point-something billion in terms of dollars, but currently we are in millions of dollars. So we are doing a bit low, looking at the target for Africa, which is around 30 billion in 2030. I don't think we are doing quite well in terms of the numbers. But the good news is that you could see that if there's that potential, now things are, like my brother said, technology is helping us take our music global. Once we begin accessing the global market, I feel the numbers will begin moving as fast as we're seeing now. Right.
Bullgod, does his sentiment resonate with you?
Yes, it does. It does. Like you just said, I'm saying there's a surge, right? And that's going to reflect hopefully next year. Our brothers in Nigeria had their time. This is our time. You can't deny the work the creatives here are putting in. And once we encourage that sort of creativity or production into what we do, because that's what the product is the most important. Once we have it, people around the diaspora and the people at home will make sure that those numbers are met. So I think 2026 is going to be.
And like you mentioned, there is a surge, but system-wise here in Ghana, are we equipped and ready and strong enough to contain the rewards this surge will bring us, looking at everything in total?
For me, I don't think anybody is ready for anything. You roll with the tide. You understand, and it depends on what comes up. Then the system will accommodate and also assist. I don't, and this is global. It's not even about us. You understand. So once you have a dynamic environment, things will shift in accordance to whatever happens. So yes, we are ready. We never look. I'll say 5 years back, 6 years back, you would find out that when we bring in international artists, they are the ones that actually will finish the show for us. You understand? No, we didn't dare at the time to even try it for a Ghanaian artist to finish the show. But today we're here. They come and go as if they never even came. Yeah, exactly. So that should tell you that the system gradually is accommodating whatever that we're putting in. So,
Spiky, agree?
Well, ecosystem-wise, I'm going to come from a technical perspective. And I feel there's still a lot to learn, for the industry. I've done a lot of trainings going around, and I realized the educational gap when it comes to what the technologies are capable of now and what our people really know. We're still sticking to a lot of things that we still do are still very traditional. And I believe that if we add just a little bit of knowing what has changed, what is changing, it can really contribute to bridging the gap that Lateef mentioned. There's a whole lot of money to be made, but how many people even know how much they could be making? Just recently I saw a post by one artist, I forget his name, who was complaining about his royalties that he received. And it sparked a whole furor about... Fancy Gadam, exactly. It sparked a whole furor about how artists are still being underappreciated in Ghana, which shouldn't be the case. Absolutely, you're seeing the numbers. These should be, reflecting in their pockets, in their bank accounts. Artists shouldn't be relying only on shows or brand signings to make money. An artist could just essentially release an album and then trust that globally they'll be collected for them. But as it stands right now, because you're not collecting for somebody, who's going to collect for you? That's the system that we're experiencing. And most of them, even some of our old artists, you know, with the influx of social media, we learned something which I didn't even think was possible. Old artists that people would have thought had fallen off, resurrected, because people are using their songs on TikTok, you know, and these things let you realize that the power of the technology. But unfortunately, some of our old artists here, and Musica did a good job by letting me go around to train some of them. I went to the north, to Kumasi, and one of the things I experienced was some of them didn't even know their music was on Spotify.
Wow.
They didn't know how it got there.
So how did it get there?
Somebody was uploading and making money from it.
Wow.
So that's the educational barrier I'm talking about. So the top artists are making it because they are willing and ready to learn. The unfortunate thing is the community artists, the cultural artists, the ones who do not have access to these, you know, data and this information are getting left behind. And some of them are making brilliant music, but unfortunately, it's not going to cross borders because they don't know. And then, unfortunately for them, those who know are cashing out on YouTube with their music, on Spotify, Apple Music, Audiomack, and whatnot.
So definitely, these are areas we need to pay attention to be able to do a good job in 2026. Bullgod, from a management and business perspective, what do you think 2025 rewarded more, structure or popularity?
When you say structure, what do you mean?
So the team behind an artist, or is it the artists themselves, maybe their appeal, your global appeal, your image, and all of that?
I don't think anyone can break that apart. I've always said if you see any artist, whether it's a Stoneboy, Shatta Wale, Sarkodie, King Promise, Black Sherif, it's not just the individual, it's a whole team. Yeah. You know, because without the team, there's no artist. You understand? There's a lot of moving parts that makes sure that the artist stays in check. You know, I use this very simple example. I mean, as we sit here, it's our mouths that are making all the noise, but without your spine, you can't sit down. There's a lot of moving parts. Your liver is working. Everything. Your senses are working for you to be able to do this. So I don't think we can even break that. You know, and gradually, for me. Gradually, the people behind these brands are being noticed, and you know that there's a chief behind Stoneboy, there's a Sami Ba behind a Shatta Wale, there's so and you know that these are people that I can reach out to be able to help do a few things when I really need it. You know, so for me, it didn't used to be like that in the past, right? So you can't break these two apart. So I'll say it's a combination of the structure and even the popularity. Because without the structure, there'll be no popular.
But let's look at it in the context of, let's say, Blacko. He has had an incredible year. His global appeal and visibility has shot up significantly. How much of the success he's chalked, percentage-wise, can be attributed to perhaps his team's strategic decisions, and then how much of that same percentage can be attributed to his own contributions in terms of content?
Okay, so again, I won't break it up, but I'll say a 50-50, because you see, I was at Blacko's concert. I've never seen him perform on that magnitude.
Right.
I've seen him perform a few times.
Right.
And if Blacko is 22, I think, right?
23.
23. I was with Sadiq, Honorable Sadiq, and I was saying that if anybody doubts reincarnation, Blacko is a living testimony, because you cannot be 23 and be this serious with yourself.
Right.
He's taking everything seriously. Now, I keep saying this all the time because of where I come from. I really don't pay attention to music to judge the artist, because I've had the opportunity to make music.
Okay.
And music is melody. Once you hear an instrumentation, something clicks. It's, and then you put words together. So the artist can easily put or pen down stuff when they don't even know where it came from. For me, it's like a transmission, right? It comes from. But this is why I respect an artist, when he's off the music and he's talking. That's how I judge it.
And he's pretty much a deep person.
Don't go there.
Yeah.
Don't go there. And for me, without him contributing that 50% quota and his team adding up to it, they will not get anywhere. So I would give 50 to him, I'll give 50 to the team. They're doing an incredible job. And these are youngsters. Like, I mean, they remind me of when I started out, you know, way back. They're energetic. Like, I think it's not for them, it's not about the money, it's about creating impact.
Right.
I keep telling people all the time, there's a favorite Bible verse of mine that says, seek ye first the kingdom of God.
And all other things shall be added.
And for me, the kingdom of God is perfection. Once you seek perfection, forget the numbers, it will come.
Right.
Nobody can take that away from them. And they've done that very, very well. For me, Black Holes has always been about music. There are few artists that have been about the music, and they've moved away from controversy, because when they launched their career, they came and said, this is what I want to do, is music. And they are on that track. I'm hoping and praying that they don't get distracted, because sometimes, you know, you can get overwhelmed.
But in terms of strategy, do we have any ideas of the kind of strategies they are employing?
I can't. Okay, so let me speak from an artist manager point.
Yeah.
You see, some of these things are impulse. There's no written down strategy. If anybody comes to tell you that they might be selling you some, you know, cock and bull story, you know, it's the moment. You know, they maybe they put out a song, or they put out a snippet of something, and they realize, the interaction is huge, so let's drop it. You know, you might have your own plan. There are times when you go into a studio and there's a song that you really love, you know, you put it on the album and nobody's even listening to it. The one that you never even thought about. You know, if you ask me how I made hits with everybody that I worked with, I don't know.
Right.
All I know is that if we need to appear on Joy News, I'll bring them.
Right.
If we need to appear on whatever Hits FM, I'll bring them. But as to whether organically how people are going to resonate with what we put out, it's out of my hands.
So it's like a trial life thing?
That's life. Life is about that, trial and errors. Nobody's got it planned. Anybody who tells you they've got it planned, they're lying.
Right.
Because again, the life you have is not yours. So what have you planned?
Yeah.
You understand? So you make the best out of the moments that you are rewarded with and run with it. Yes.
I see you're missing in the conversation, but you want to take a bite of something?
No, I mean, I totally agree with what he said, that it's a 50-50.
Yeah.
And for me, I always believe that much of the creativity comes from the team, from the structure point of view. People are now, the team is now getting creative to make sure that they incorporate innovation in whatever strategies they're employing.
Right.
We are in an agile world, so you need to be agile. You need to be spot on. You need to think spot on. When you plan, sometimes it doesn't happen. Most of the things we plan for the year, only 40% or 35% that happens. I mean, over the last 5 years of developing strategic plan, at a point this year, when we went for a strategic meeting, I was like, do we need this at all? So I was just feeding into his energy. Do we need this at all? Because 60% of it, 55% of it, usually you change as we move. It's spontaneous. So,
Spiky, in today's digital era, how easy is it for a song to blow up? And really, what does it take? Is it the quality, or is it just following a certain pattern that seems to work?
You know, I'm just going to latch on to what Bullgod just said about trial and error. And the ease is that technology allows you to do trial and error very fast.
Very fast, yeah.
I mean, it's so easy now that even Facebook ads gives you, even your Facebook post as a business, you have what we call A or B testing. So you create flyers, you put both of them out, and then you get data back from both of them to let you know which one your audience resonates with. Market research is not a science that is supposed to help you understand. It's just basically you testing your market to know whether they like what you're bringing. Most of the time you take products out, you can be the best strategist. We've seen that with some of the biggest brands. Look at Nokia, what are they today? They had some of the best years in tech, in smartphone. And then the audience just said, we don't want this again. And they didn't listen. They kept thinking, we know what's best for you. We're going to give you what's best. And then one day we woke up and Nokia was rest in peace. You know? And so everything that you're doing, technology is going to make it easier. It's going to make it make you more efficient at doing it. So trial and error, easy.
I mean, I asked you that question for a reason. Take Moliy, for example. Shake It to the Max. She released it, did a TikTok dance challenge, and it seemed to have worked. It just, took off and, started flying. Then after, she released Baki, a song called Baki, and she released this current song she has with Tyler. And I've seen her adopt some of the promotion strategies she did with Shake It to the Max. But when you take a look at the numbers and Shake It to the Max, there's a distinctive difference.
Can you see Real Madrid as a human being?
No.
Unless they humanize their brand. There are certain things that are tried and tested. Those ingredients, you put it in your food, it can't go bad. You can't make a meal without salt and then think, oh, this is the greatest meal ever. I mean, you have to add something that's going to add that flavoring. So as much as most of the stuff is going to be vanilla, you need to have that obvious recipe, that obvious ingredients that without which you can't succeed. So you can have the same strategy, but you might have missed out that single ingredient that made you the one that everybody gravitates towards. And you need to identify that thing that people like about you or your music or that moment. Sometimes once again, Bulldog is 100% Bullgod, 100% right on the money. You can have that full formula and the universe may not be aligned and it won't work, right? You've done everything that worked in A and thinking it's going to work in B. And the universe is like, I'm sorry, it's not your time.
It's not for us.
So there's a lot of learning, relearning, unlearning, researching, evaluating that has to go on. And never just drop in the towel if this didn't work. Go repackage, come back again. It's just that simple.
So we'll get into our theatre conversation pretty shortly because I'm looking at the time and it's really racing against us. But Bullgod, Blacko, according to Spotify, Spotify's data, is the #1 most streamed artist in Ghana. Also the most streamed Ghanaian artist. Has the most streamed albums in Ghana for 2 of his albums at #1 and #2 respectively. And then he occupied all 10 spots for the most streamed songs in Ghana. But some way, somehow, he is not the most exported Ghanaian artist. Moliy won that over him. I don't understand that dynamic. I'll ask you that question too, but yeah.
I honestly, I mean, I think I'll be the wrong person to answer this question because, and I don't think any of us on the panel will be able to answer it to the max because this is usually Spotify. They have their own
data.
Exactly. They know what they're looking for. They know what they're doing, and there's always an agenda. People are selling, right? I mean, this is made. I mean, this whole show is made. There are cameras. We got made up. There's an agenda. So we cannot take that as, let me say, the Bible.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? Because if you look at other artists, they also did a lot of stuff as well. Now, maybe, and I'll just use that, if you look at the Shake It to the Max, it had that international collaboration and it was released in, I don't know, somewhere out there, not even anywhere in Africa. Now, again, I don't know which label she works with, but these are people who are championing a lot of. I'm sure when he comes in, he will tell you they are pushing a lot of things.
Strengths.
Yeah, exactly. You understand? So there's no way they will allow any other. I keep saying in this day and age, it's so difficult to even get into the music space and actually make it, because when you're an independent artist, you are on the same playing field with all the big brands. They will win. They own this space. What they say is what goes.
Right.
You understand? But the science there, I cannot really
speak to.
Exactly.
Spiky,
exactly.
Can you make a meaning out of that dynamic?
I mean, if we're talking about the data, so Blacko is getting more streams from Ghanaians, hence why he's topping the charts in Ghana and essentially becoming a legacy, in Ghana. Take, for instance, Sarkodie. Sarkodie for the longest time was top of the mouth for almost everybody who was mentioning any artist in Ghana. And Blacko is becoming, I'd say Sarkodie is handing over the baton to Blacko, right? Blacko is going to be the embodiment of what Sarkodie was for Ghanaian music. And hopefully will become a very big export eventually. Moliy became the most exported because, once again, digital helped her. you're getting a lot of TikTok. There was 235,000 TikToks created.
Right.
And it's not just limited to Ghana, it's international. And it's a pop, it's a dance song. It's something that, it's a feel-good song, you know, and stuff like that. It crosses boundaries. It's not confined to the...
So if I get what you mean, Black Hole Streams is specifically based in the confines of our country.
Not alone, but mostly.
Okay.
Which is why he dominated the charts for Ghana. So to say, I think it's would say that he's a good Ghanaian product.
Okay.
And then Moliy is a good export. What would be a very good analogy I'd use would be like chocolate, right? We are exporting cocoa. It's coming from Ghana. But does anyone attributes the cocoa to Ghana like the way they would say the chocolate that is made is coming from Ghana? For instance, Golden Tree chocolate, we eat a lot of it here. Kind of compared to the Cadbury's and the rest from the world. They're not from us, but the ingredient is from us. Do you get it? Her partnership or her collaborations with other international artists gives her
leverage.
You know, leverage. She's getting other ears. So if I like, for instance, one of the international artists she partnered with, and I'm listening to that person, automatically I'm listening to her, right? And so if Blacko is getting hundreds of streams from, let me use money, he's getting $100 here, she's getting pennies across the world. Do you get what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, she's getting a lot more, you know, 10 people here, 10 people there, 10 people here.
Right.
Cut across the whole place, but Blacko is getting a lot of them right here. That's the difference. That's why she's the most exported. Maybe not as listened to here, but internationally a lot.
Right. We've got about 12 minutes to wrap up, and I want to dedicate the last 10 minutes to theatre. But quickly, Artist of the Year, King Promise. First of all, did we crown a worthy Artist of the Year? Because it's one thing to be crowned the Artist of the Year, looking at the year in review, and it's another thing to cement that win in the, you know, in what you do with what you do in the year. So that, and then two, if you looking at my presentation, if you look at the kind of year he's had a very active year. He's seemingly ticked all the boxes, but numbers wise, he's not doing too well. What explains that?
First and foremost, to that your question.
That we crowned,
Yeah, we did. I mean, he had an amazing year. You can't take that away from him. So, yes, for that particular year, he deserved it, you know. I think coming into the post year, I don't think he did too much. You know, he did very well. He was, I mean, impactful and everything, but I think he was a little bit laid back. And it depends. Everybody has their own strategy. Again, it might be team effort. They know what they want to do. Maybe, you know, and also, you should understand that other artists are also working. I was with the PRO of Shatta House, I think a few days ago, and I told him, and I'm telling this to Shatta House, that, and I've said this already, and I'm not even talking about Artist of the Year because I've predicted that already that Blacko is going to take. But this is what I want to tell Shatta House. Gospel Artist of the Year next year. Blacko is taking it. Female vocalist. He's taking it.
Female.
I'm telling you. Look, nobody is going home with any plaque. I mean, the gentleman has done amazing. You can't look. I think for me, I don't know if they knew what they were doing, you know, and held back whatever they wanted to do to allow everybody else to do what they want to do and say, hey, yes. Because look, if we have 22 plaques at the Ghana Music Awards, nobody should take one. No, and I say this with all respect to every other artist.
Right.
You know, not to disrespect any other artist, but the gentleman has
worked. That's Blacko.
Yes, Blacko has done it. You know, so I don't even. The artist, I don't want to. Usually, that's where everybody's fighting.
Yeah.
Nobody's fighting that. I'm saying female vocalist. Gospel, yes. If I carry, they go.
Quickly, let's talk about our wild card, Shatta Wale.
Yep.
He's a peculiar case.
Yeah.
In terms of numbers, if you should, you know, compare him to the other, you know, artists who I did a presentation on, obviously, he's no match, right? But he seems to have clocked something that helps him reinvent his brand every now and then. He is not your favorite person to have a clean year like the other artists. He will disrupt. He will be controversial. But the numbers favor him. Numbers as in physical numbers favor him. What's that strategy?
But it's always been like that. It has never been. I mean, for me, I don't know why people are amazed when they see some. Maybe because I've been part of the brand, but he's been always like that. If you go back, you see, one of the things people need to understand is to go back and research who he was and what he does. This is someone who's been everywhere, like everywhere, every corner in Ghana. He's been there sitting with the people, You see, the numbers lie sometimes, especially the digital numbers. They are streaming farms. Again, that's why we can sit here and talk about Moliy and we don't know whether it's, So if Moliy is the whatever, can she pull something like this? But when it comes to physical, bring the people out, the artists that will do that. And there are quite a few. And Shatta Wale sits on top of that, because he's been everywhere and he's been doing this thing consistently. Now, a lot of people, I said this, I think 6-7 years ago. People don't listen to radio for music anymore. Radio, television, it's politics. What we're doing now is politics. Once they are done and they tune off, they have their own playlist.
Yeah. That listen to now.
Good, because because maybe I am a big fan of maybe a Shatta Wale, a Stonebwoy. Maybe the DJ there is a Moliy or Blacko, and I'm not maybe, So I want to go back to my playlist and he resonates with the people because he's been there with them at the trenches and he understands their psyche and that's the results. Yeah, you see, yes. So it's not the strategies. That's what he is.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Now, music often dominates the conversation, right? But culture really doesn't end with sound. So let's do theater now. Lateef.
Yep.
I have seen a shift. Let's do both film and theater. I have seen a shift in that industry.
Yeah.
I don't hear much of the lamentations anymore. I don't hear much of the complaints anymore. Is it a case of finally we've gotten some investor investing and really making the industry thrive and this year and maybe coming year, or it's we're making do with the little we have. We're tired of complaining.
Yes, we are not tired of complaining, but we want to focus on the job. So I wouldn't say we are tired of complaining. And then also, we've realized that the audience psyche in Ghana has increased in terms of theater. People are showing interest in theater now than before, and it's helping us in the theater. So it's not we are still complaining, but just that we are doing it strategically. I mean, we engaging policymakers. I mean, we engaged GRA through the ministry. We're engaging the right stakeholders to make sure that
you're responding favorably.
Yes. And also maybe the paradigm shift from one political party to the other has also made us a bit laid back. This is because when a new government is in power, you want to know what the strategies are, what they are bringing. And it looks a bit positive. Currently, we've heard about the renovation of the National Theatre. We've also heard about the funds for the creative arts industry. And then we've heard about creating a new space in the budget to build a new theatre to us. So there are some exciting news, early day yet, so you cannot complain much than to do. And when it comes to, and please, even before I continue, I was excited. You actually included theatre in this conversation. This is because I realized that most of the calendars that come out for December in GH, though we are part of the general brochure of the December in GH, when it comes to listing of the events, like I'll be scouting, I'll see top 20 events in December in GH, top 10 events in December in GH. I've been sending it back to them. How Uncle Ebo has shows. He's filling the auditorium back to back. He's doing like 7 different shows. But it's not on the calendar. I mean,
right.
And, and if we really want to attract people to Ghana in December, know that not everybody will like the Shattas, the Stonebwoys, not everybody. We have people in the diaspora who also have their own interest, which is maybe theater, cultural, contemporary arts. And that's the reason why we came up with the African Festival, generally, to be able to target some potential tourists or investors who are not music freak to also come.
So as you continue, wrap it up for me. 2026, we have a new government, new individuals. In fact, we have most of our people, our creative people in governance now. What are we expecting?
We are expecting that they execute the promises that they made to us.
Okay.
We are expecting that whatever has been factored in the budget should be implemented. And I mean, that's bottom line. Because we know that as for promises, they are made. But it's the execution that we lack sometimes. So we are praying that this time around, at least the promises that have been made, if we begin implementing them, it means that we have a very positive road forward, moving forward.
Spiky.
Yep. Well, as like you said, we are expecting that the promises are held. And for me, I just wish there'd be a lot more education
To strengthen our ecosystem.
Yes, because one of the risks that is coming is artificial intelligence.
Right.
You know,
That's a whole topic one.
Yes, and
It's on.
people don't know the kind of risk it's coming with, and they are seeing it from the wrong perspective. And until we know what we're going to be fighting against, we've seen that paradigm shift from cassettes to CDs to streaming, and we've seen the impact streaming has had. The amount of money people think they're going to be making, and they're not exactly making it. So now something else is coming. That's even going to cause even more trouble. So
We're wrapping up.
Okay, so there's one thing people misunderstand about streaming, right? Streaming is just royalties. There are two types. There's the digital album where you can buy it. That's where you make more money. But if I'm playing it, it's just like renting, it's just like radio. You understand? That's what people need to understand. And I realized it's not even our people here, even way in America, I saw Snoop's conversation about streaming and he was complaining. I'm like, no, he doesn't even understand. It's just royalties, like playing stuff on your radio and they'll give you money from Gambro and all that. Now, why would I buy an album when I can listen to it? That's where we are in the world. So people need to understand. And just to switch to your stuff, I'm praying that you people, the theaters, involve us. There was one that...
Us being?
As in the music industry.
Okay.
Imagine you have a whole concept around Stonebwoy, Shatta Wale.
Brilliant.
Yeah, imagine a Sarkodie or a Blacko, King Promise, a whole theater on them. It's never happened.
Like it's an experience.
Yes.
Okay.
So let me say this. Ochami Kwame had a show. And I don't know why he didn't do that again. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful. You understand? So imagine you're telling Shatta Wale's story in December. You are telling, after they've done all their shows, the Sarkodie, see what happens. Because music is the loudest. So try and involve us. I'm sure we can do this together. Yeah.
Definitely.
Look, I'm really enjoying this conversation. I am absolutely hating myself for truncating it. There's so much we haven't touched on, especially on theater. I had a whole plan. I actually even wanted us to get into governance, where we take a look at some of the key individuals from our sector that are now doing politics. How have they fared in the year under review, and what are their highs, what are their lows, what can be improved upon. The whole Dirty December, conversation. We wanted to get into that, but time is not being favorable to us. And so here's where we end our special eCorner show, where we did a review of the year 2025. I'm sure you've enjoyed yourself. I'm sure you've taken notes, and we're all entering 2026 with some positivity. Let me say a happy 8th birthday to Samuel Kwabena Ifi Omare Boateng of Bishop Bowers School. Happy birthday, sweet one. Your mom loves you, your dad as well. My name is Noella Karediali, and I'll see you next year right here on this channel as I bring you another brilliant edition of eCorner.